Welcome back to the video tutorials for the configuration of the S.M.A.R.T database for the Ethiopian National Parks. My name is Vanessa Baga and I'm the database expert at ECO. Our topic today is how to handle waypoints. Now we want to import our sampling units. Therefore, we go to Field Data, Survey, and view the surveys. In here I have different survey designs. I want to add my transect line, so I double click on the wildlife survey. If we click here on sampling units, we can see there are no sampling units in there. So we open the base map and I took the topographic outline as the base map. Now we have two options to import our sampling units. Therefore, we click on this button. It's the import sampling unit from a file. Now we choose import new sampling unit, go to next and choose the transect lines. So in our case, the transect line is always a start point and an end point. So we go to next and have to choose if it's a CSV or a shapefile. Now we import the CSV, so therefore we go to C S.M.A.R.T data repository, parks data, temperature data, and in sampling units I have prepared already an Excel data which shows the start and the end point. Let's have a look on it. So if you want to import your transect line, you have to prepare a CSV as the following one. So first we need the name from the transect. So in this case it's the transect number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then this one we do not need now. So but it shows the x1 is the starting point, y1 is also the starting point. So these are the two coordinates from our starting point. The x2 and the y2 are the coordinates from the end point. So you have to prepare a CSV with a name and an x coordinate for the starting point, a y coordinate for the starting point, and an x coordinate for the end and a y coordinate for the end point. So if you have prepared a CSV as the following one, we can import it to our shapefile, to our S.M.A.R.T. So we click on our transect line CSV and open it, and here you can see the delimiter. If it's not in comma, so most of the time I save it with semicolon, so I choose in this case semicolon, go to next, and now I have to choose the following fields. So my ID is the transect number, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I have the same naming in my CSV, so I choose x1 for x1, y1 for y1. And I know that my projection is this one. So you also have to know what is your projection. If you saved these, or if you wrote down these coordinates from a GPS, then you have to have a look what is the coordinate system of the GPS. So in my case it's this one, and now I can click on finish. here I get some warning because some sampling units are not unique. So if you have sampling unit 1 twice, then here you get the warning. In my case, it's okay. Now we can see our transect lines and our sampling design. So as you remember, we started with just with a CSV file with X and Y coordinates, and now we have lines in S.M.A.R.T. Now we can set our waypoints as active or inactive. We can rename our sampling units, and we could delete our transect lines. If we select one, you can see here the transect line turns on yellow, and we can also zoom in because it's not the high resolution topographic map. It's not that good as space map, but we can get an overview where is our transect line situated. Now we import the EWCA habitat monitoring plots. So we go on the sampling design, EWCA habitat monitoring. In here I go to sampling units. In my case, I didn't have sampling units imported until now, so now I go to import sampling units from a file. Here we choose import new sampling units and go to next. Because the habitat monitoring is a plot, I choose plots point and go to next. Now we browse to the file. In my case, it's S.M.A.R.T data repository, parks data, geobarrier, tour data, and sample units. In here, I have a CSV with habitat plots. So open, and it's a comma separated, so we need a semicolon, and click on next. So the ID is the plot ID in my case, the X is X and Y is Y. The projection in my case it's the UTM zone, so I can finish. Now you can see here our sampling units are active, they are points, and in here we have the plot ID. If you only got a CSV or you only have written down from the GPS your sampling plots, you can in this case export the sampling unit and choose a shapefile if you want to load it to QGIS or manipulate the waypoints or transect lines in QGIS. So if you want to have a shapefile, click on shapefile, go to next. If it's a linear or a point, in our case we have a point layer, go to next, and now we browse to the directory. So it would be C S.M.A.R.T data repository, and if it's parks data, and in here it's the sampling unit folder. So okay, and finish. Now let's have a look on the waypoints of our surveys and patrols we imported already, so the data we collected in the field. So if I go to the survey, we can see here our surveys which we have imported, and also for the patrols. So I double click on a patrol, and now in here we can see the distance we traveled, then the option to set a track, to view the track points, to import waypoints, and the coordinates of our waypoint. In our case, we can see here the coordinates. If we go here, it's written in WGS 84. but it's shown in UTM zone. So if you want to change your coordinates, just double click. But now you have to change the coordinate in WGS 84. So this you have to know, and also if you only have on your GPS the UTM coordinate system, you have to transfer it to the WGS 84 before you can edit these waypoints in here. But after you have transformed, you just can write in here a new number, and you can see it is transformed to the new waypoint position. A second way to change the waypoints is to go to map. So down here you can see the summary, then the date, then the map. We click on map. And then let's have the management sectors, the base map, and load so that we have a better overview. And in here I can see there are some waypoints along the intensive use zone, and on the right side there is these move waypoints now. So if I click on move waypoint, I can zoom in a little bit, and now I'm able to shift. So if I click on a waypoint, I'm now can bring it to a new position. So let's shift it a bit more so that we can see. So now I have a new position for the waypoint. If there is an error or you didn't want to move the waypoint as far, you can click on undo the last edit so that the waypoint is on the position you started. In here we can see the waypoints, and we also can see the track line. So the track line is the line we drew for we went along, and is in here we can see that there are more waypoints than we have saved with some observations. Now we have two different options to handle our waypoints. We import it as a survey or a patrol. So let's have a look on the track points. So if I go back on the date, let's click on view track points. In here, open the management sector map so that we get a better overview of our track points. And now click on part 1. So the track is called part 1, and zoom 2 so that we can see where is our track. So we can see it's mainly along of the intensive use zone, and now we could split the line. So let's have first a look on edit. So in here you can see we have a lot of track points in here. So we have a few waypoints, it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waypoints, but we have a lot more track points. The track points are combining our track we went for our patrol. So in here we could delete some points where we say, oh no, this is wrong. Then we could delete the point here, so just select and click on delete. If you deleted some points you didn't want to delete, just undo it again. Then here there is the map layer where you can see what's the track point and what is the track, and just close or apply if you deleted some points. So if you have a line which is too long, so you traveled home and you have forgot to pause the patrol or to end the patrol, you can also cut the track later off so that the distance is correct. Therefore, click on the track, and then you can click on split. Now draw a line across the selected track where you want it to split. So in my case, I would say I want to just split it in here, and now you can see we have a track part 1, so the blue one, it's the upper one, and a part 2. If you made a mistake and say, oh no, these tracks we have to merge again, so it should be one track, if I was just a mistake, then select both of them and click on merge. Also, you can delete the whole track in here. If you have made your changes, just save and close it again. If you have also your GPS with you and you think the cyber tracker have not correctly recorded the track, you can also set the tracks later on. So in here you then have to click on set track, and you can import the track from a GPS device, from a GPX file, or generate from waypoint. Let's try generate from waypoint. So as you remember, you see the points along the track we saw before. So in here it's the waypoint we observed in the field. So if you say the first observation and the last observation is quite the line you walk along in the field, then you can generate the track from these points. So generate the track from waypoints for all days. So if you have a patrol which have a duration of more than 1 day, or just the tracks for this day. In our case we only have one, so we choose the date we have, and we can click on finish, and the current track will replace, so we will lose the old track. And because here it's okay, we can click on OK. So now the import is complete, and let's have a look on the track. So we view the track points again, click on part 1 and zoom to. And now we can see that there is the line a bit straighter, so we lose the information where we drove along the road. It's just a line between our points where we have an observation. I opened now some habitat plots where I have also waypoints from the GPS. So I plugged in also already my GPS, and now let's import the waypoints. So therefore I click on GPX file, go to next, I choose import all, go to add, and now I browse to my GPS. In this case it's this PC, then go to the Garmin, in my case again Garmin, take GPX. And now I choose the right date with my waypoints and click on open. Again, finish. And now my import from the waypoint is complete. Because I have not the same time on the GPS and on the cyber tracker, I have different waypoints. But I know that the first waypoint is this, and so I just double click and click on copy, double click on the Y coordinate for the first waypoint, and click on paste. And so I correct now my waypoints from the cyber tracker with the waypoints I stored with my GPS. So copy and paste. Let's have also a look on the distance traveled. So I click on edit and import, and also here I import now the track. I would like to have the track from the GPS. So let's click on import. Again, here take the GPX file, go to next, import the track, or take import all. Because the current layer there are more than one waypoint, I choose import only tracks from this day. I go to add, then now I choose not the waypoints, I take the current GPX. So I go to this PC, Garmin, then again Garmin, choose GPX and current, and click on the current GPX file and open. Click on finish, and the track is imported. So now we have a new track imported from our GPS, and also we imported some waypoints from the GPS. If I now double click on the new track, I can see all the track points I have imported, and if I choose just one waypoint and go zoom to point, I can have a look on my track I have imported. And here you can see there are more waypoints on the track than we have stored outside with track the waypoint. And now I can delete the old track so that we only have one track in this sampling, and save. So let's start with the handling of waypoints and lines, transect lines in QGIS. Therefore, I opened already QGIS, and let's have a look. In QGIS, it's quite similar to S.M.A.R.T. So we have here our different layers. We have the styling panel, and now let's import a shapefile. In this case, we add here on add a vector layer, and now we have to browse to the right folder. So we go also here at these three dots on browse. Then I go to C, S.M.A.R.T, data repository, parks data, Chibara data, and in the maps I have this management area, but now let's import the boundary. So this is the way how to import shapefiles to QGIS. Now you can see we have in here a filled shapefile. So I double click on the layer, so the Chibara boundary, and then I can choose another symbology. Therefore I go on symbology, because now here we have a simple fill. I would appreciate to have a simple line, so I click on here fill simple line and choose a color I like to have for my boundary and say OK. The next step would be to import our sampling units. We have imported as CSV also in here to the QGIS. Therefore, I just click on add delimited text layer, click on it, and again here I have to browse to the right folder. Here I am still at the right place, so it's C, S.M.A.R.T, data repository, parks data, but in our case it's not a map, it's a sampling unit, because now I would like to add the habitat plots as a CSV. So I go to the habitat plot, click on open, and then here you have to choose. So at this arrow, if you do not have the full extension for the file format, click on the arrow, and then you have to choose custom delimiters, take the semicolon. Then the first record has the field names, and for the point coordinates, the x field is for x, the y is for the y field, and we have to choose the geometry as we did it before also in S.M.A.R.T. And in here we can see sample data, so it's an x coordinate, it's an y coordinate, then the plot and the plot ID and the name of the park. As we see before, for the sampling units we added to S.M.A.R.T. In this case we can click on add, and now we have already also imported our sampling units. So here you can see our habitat plots are in here, so we can click on the X to close. Please do not forget to save, because in here you have to save shapefiles if you added some points, but you also have to save the file, so the project, so that we can also later on see how we change the symbology for those layers. Therefore, we click on Project, go to Save or Save As. In here we choose C, S.M.A.R.T, then Data Repository, Parks Data, geometry data, and it's a map. So therefore I save it under Maps, and it's Barra National Park, and it's our waypoint project. And save. Now I would like to have also a base map in the background, so a Google satellite image. Therefore I go to the layer and then choose browser. In here, when you go to the bottom, you can choose these X, Y and Z tiles. In our case, we add a new connection, so click right hand on tiles and choose new connection. In here you can write Google, because we want to add the Google satellite image, and then we have to copy the URL. So now copy the link from the manual or write it down the same way I have it in here, but I think it's easier to copy just from the manual. And now we can click on OK. Now let's have a look. I have some XYZ tiles more in here than you now have imported, but I should have also these Google. If I double click on our new map, then you can see in here we have a satellite image in the background. So now the layer is not at the bottom, because the geometry boundary is underneath the ortho. We have to push the Google at the bottom, so we can now see again our line. So if we now zoom in somehow, somewhere on the layer, you can see here we have some settlements where you can also detect some agricultural use. So you can zoom in, and in here we have a house, so you get a good overview what habitat type you have in your park. If you got somewhere lost on the map, just click on the boundary, right hand click, and click on zoom to layer. So then you get back to the whole overview of your park. Now I would like to import a GPX file. So this file is about the waypoints or transect lines you collect in a field with your GPS. So just plug in your GPS and save your waypoint or the other GPS data from the GPS on your computer. In my case, I will open a sampling unit I have already stored as a GPX in my file storage. So I go to a layer. And then I want to add a layer. In this case, it's a vector layer. And then I have to browse the dataset. So I go to source and click on the three dots, browse. And then in my case, it's S.M.A.R.T data repository, parks data, Chibera, and in here we have a folder which is only for GPX data. So double click on here, and now in my case, I choose the wildlife transect and go on open. Now I add, and here I have to choose some layer IDs. So there are route points, routes, track points, tracks, and waypoint. So if you only want to have the waypoints out of these, just choose waypoints or just tracks or the track point. For the first time, I would select all, click on select all, and then you can click on OK. And in here we can see the data is already in here. For our sampling unit, you can see because we added the tracks and the waypoints. So we have a point for the start point, for the end point, and we have the line in between added now to our GIS project. So let's now save the project, and now let's export the waypoint as a shapefile. So we now have the GPX from our GBS at QGIS. So let's zoom a little bit out so that we have an overview. And now I would like to have the track points as a shapefile. So I click on track waypoints, then right hand click, choose export, save feature as. Now here you can decide if it's a ESRI shapefile, if you want to have a CSV, and later on we also try to export a GPX data. Now we want to have a shapefile. Please, you have always to select the right file name and to browse the folder. So if you forgot to click on browse, then a shapefile ends up somewhere. So click on browse. Now we select S.M.A.R.T data repository. It's parks data, Chibera, and it's a map. In my case, it's a sample unit. So give a meaningful name. In this case, it's Chibera National Park. It's the wildlife transect. Because I have the shapefile in here already, I would not save it now, but I can overwrite it. So here I can click on save, but before I have to choose the point. So now we have the track points in here. So if we save it, it's Kona Wildlife Transect and it's the point. So click on save. And now in here, check the coordinate system. In this case, WGS 84 is the correct one. So we can have here this coordinate system in here. Then geometry type automatic is okay, and we can now save the shapefile. Now you get a message, then successfully saved a vector layer, and now we get a new layer in here. So here we can put it out of the GPX data because now these is a sample unit. So to put out these points, you have to select some space outside of the group, and now we can see our units in here. I would like to add another line, so the sample unit as a line. So click on add vector layer, and now we browse to Chibera, but we choose the sample units. And now I would like to import the Chibera wildlife transect as a line. So I click on line, click on add, and now here we can see we have a line in between our dots. If we would like to have a line or also a GPX point exported, so points or line, it's the same way how to export the data. But before we start, we have a look on the attribute table. Therefore, click right hand on the layer, then we open the attribute table. So we click on the attribute table, and in here we have the name for our sampling units as name. To save the vector layer as a GPS exchange format, it's important to choose the right, so the GPX in here. Just have a look if the GPX is also in the name, and then let's have a look. So let's go down. So we have the right coordinate system in here, and now we have to also click on GPS use extension, and now click on yes. You can also force GPS route or track, but in my case it's okay. I say okay. In here you can see we have now these line transect as a GPX, and if we click on right hand open attribute table, then we have a lot of information in here. So the name of the GPS, this we would also see on our GPS, and then the additional information about the habitat type. For example, let's open the attribute table where we exported the GPX out of it. So in here you can see we have the same transect and ID field, also the habitat types and the name of our transect lines. Now let's start to export our GPX file to our GPS. Therefore, we first go to the folder S.M.A.R.T, then data repository, parks data, Chibera in my case, and GPX. Now I will copy the GPX file I want to bring to my GPS. Then I click copy to right hand, copy. Then I go to this PC, and I already plugged in my USB cable with my Garmin GPS, so I double click on Garmin. In here again Garmin. Now I have this GPX folder. I open this, and here you can see I have some files with waypoints, and here I click on right hand and paste the copied layer. So now I have my wildlife transect on my GPS. Also here there is the current folder where your current waypoints, so your transect lines, are stored. So now have a look on your Garmin if everything shows up properly. I added in here also the wildlife transect as point. So if we click right hand on a layer and have a look on our attribute table, you can see there is the FID, the ID, the transect number, then the habitat type, the name of the transect, if it's a start point or an end point, and the X and Y coordinate. In here, I would like to show you how you can change the start and the end point of a transect line. So therefore, we start with the symbology so that we can see where is the start and where is the end point. Therefore, right hand click on properties. Then we go to symbology. Now we do not have a single symbol, we have a categorized symbol. Because I saw on the attribute table before that I have a start and an end point, I click on value, start and end point. Now I have to click on classify. For me, an endpoint is in a logic way a red color, because here we have to stop, and the start point as a greenish, so here we start to go, like the traffic light. And now I just click on OK, and now we can see the start and the end point of our transect line. If we do not like that our transect is in here, the start point is here, I click on the points. Now I go to toggle editing. Please remember, if you try to edit a CSV, it will not work. So you have to export the CSV as an ASCII shapefile before. In my case, it's a shapefile already, so I can toggle editing. Now I have different editing opportunities. In here, I have already the symbol for add a point, then to the vertex tool. So with the vertex tool, I can shift my point. Then there is the option to move a feature, so it's not shifting, it's just moving. So if you later on have a polygon or a line, please be careful, because you will shift all waypoints along the line, so all vertices of a line. Every polygon and every line is out of a lot of vertices we saw before in S.M.A.R.T, because in S.M.A.R.T we also have our different waypoints, which all together leads to the track. So here we can now click on the vertex tool, then we have to select the point. If you come to the point, then it gets red, so it seems like you have chosen the point. So now I can take these and put it somewhere else. So if I once click on a point, then I can shift the point and click again, and now our start point is up there. If you cannot find these toolbars, click on the gray on the left side and be sure that you have the vertex editor panel. Then you also need the snapping toolbar, and yeah, you can also choose the advanced digital panel if you want to make a line with 2 meters or 3 meters, so if you want to define the length before. Otherwise, the snapping and the toolbar for digitizing should be enabled, and this should be okay. This symbol is enable snapping, so if you click on it, you can select if you want to snap on all layers or just on active layers. In our case, snip on all layers is okay. Snipping means if I take the waypoint and I come to the line, then you can see this pinkish point. So I snip to these points, so the end point of my line and the start point is now on the same location. So through snipping, it is possible to get 2 points above each other. So it's very important to have it here, because if we disable the snipping, then I would try to get the same position. But if I zoom in, we end up in a mess. So now let's manipulate also transect line. So if I choose the transect line, in here you can see this is the CSV, so I cannot change anything. So let's have a look. In here we have a shapefile. So now we can start the editing mode. And now if I select the line, so to select the whole line or more than one polygon or more than one waypoint, you can also choose the select feature from area or single click. So in this case there is only one line in here, so I can only select this line. If I zoom out a little bit, I can select both. So in here you can see it's a bit more yellow than before we select the line. If we zoom in, then you can see the yellow line in here. So but now I just want to select one line, and now let's move. So with this rotate feature or move feature, we can just take it. So click on move, click once at the line, and then you can just drag it, and if you click again, drop to another position. You can also rotate it, so just click in here and rotate as you wish. Also here you can give in an angle for the rotation, but in my case I will now stop the editing mode because I do not like to shift the whole line, so I just discharge in this case. So if I discharge the whole editing mode, then I come back to the stage when I started editing. Also, again, if we click on edit, we can here for a line change a vertex. So also click on vertex, and now also here you can see that you select this vertex. So now if I click on it, I could take it and put the line somewhere else. If you get a little bit in between, you can see here there is a plus. If you click on the plus, you can add a new waypoint or vertex at the line. So you can get it not a straight line, you can follow a street or something else. But I also do not like these changes, therefore I click on editing and discharge. If you are in the editing mode, you can also delete a whole element. So if you selected these waypoints or transect line, you can just click on delete, then you lose all the data you have. So if you discharge the editing, then they are there again, but if you have saved it, then your transect lines or waypoints are gone. So just think about carefully before you save the editing mode. There are also some other tools. So if you have a polygon, then you can cut it through or merge two polygons to each other. But there are also good QGIS tutorials. You can just Google for it and have a look how to handle shapefiles if you have polygons. In our case, we end up now with a new shapefile. In my case, I didn't change anything, but if you have changed some points of your starts and end point, let's save it as a CSV. So in here you can see the FID, the ID, the transect, habitat name, the start and end point, and the X and Y coordinate. I would choose the CSV, then give it a meaningful name. In my case, it's the Chivera National Park Wildlife. Transect, it's the point. And I would also add a day because we added some points. Then now click on save. In here you see there are the old X and Y coordinate. In this case I would click here on disable, so we will lose the old data. Then go a bit down. Here we choose we have points. Then again a bit down, and the geometry for S.M.A.R.T we would need the X and Y coordinate, and we would like to have semicolon. So just click on OK, click on the layer exported. Otherwise you can click on right hand on the new layer, so the CSV table, and click on properties. In here for the first information you also have a path. So click on the path, then a folder is open and select the right file. Because it's a CSV, we open it as follows. Right hand click on CSV, then choose Open With. I choose Excel. Now it says another user have it open, but it's me because it's open in the QGIS project, so this is okay. Now we click on the first column, then go to data, then text and column, then it's separated, next, then it's comma separated, and the quotation is also okay. So in here we get an example. Click on next and say OK. And now you can see the FID, the ID, the transect line, the habitat type, the name, the start and the endpoint, and now we have here our new X coordinate and our new Y coordinate because we changed a waypoint.